1. Okay.
Oh man, it's got my little funny faces and everything.
Well,
is that us?
Yeah,
That's
we're
us.
here. We're doing things.
Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Hello, everyone out there. Welcome, Pathfinders, to the Find the Path Ventures. What are we calling this?
Research check.
Wait, yes, research check for the Advanced Player's Guide, Second Edition. So, I am one of your hosts, and Rick Sandage. I am joined here by Rachel Sandage and Jessica Peters.
Hello.
Hello.
Of Find the Path fame.
Yes,
Oh,
such
are we
fame.
famous? I don't know if we're famous.
We're kind of famous in like a very small circle.
Yeah, in actual play famous.
In a steadily growing circle.
Yeah.
In a circle of friendship.
Friendship is magic.
So we have decided to do this stream today for a couple of reasons. High point, I think, or highest amongst those reasons is the fact that Paizo gave us an early copy of this book, and we got a chance to read through it, and we are very excited to talk about the book.
Oh, yeah.
So we thought we would share that excitement with all of you. And by that book, I mean that book. Am I pointing the right direction?
No, the other way.
No, other way. My camera's
This
that
book.
way. That book. I'll let Jessica point. That book off to the side, which is the Pathfinder Second Edition Advanced Player's Guide.
Yep, I did it wrong.
We're really bad at pointing here.
This is the first of our product. This is not a product review. Full disclosure up front. First off, we are not doing reviews. We're doing product discussion. In large part because we are associates with Paizo. We are partners. And as such, I don't think we're considered unbiased news sources.
Yep.
I mean, I'd like to think I'm still objective anyway, but, just to be safe.
I have no objectivity whatsoever.
All right.
And yeah.
Now that that's out of the way.
So yes, now that the legalese is out of the way. And also this gives us a chance to chat with all of you. So we're going to be talking about our thoughts on this book, and feel free to throw some comments up in the chat. I see we've got a couple already. And
mostly that you're a little quiet.
I'm a little quiet.
Apparently.
Oh, I'm sorry. I very rarely get that complaint. So I'm going to hope this is a little bit better for everyone. I sound booming to myself. But fortunately, I can bask in the sound of my own voice.
Yes.
Which I find a little grating.
I think someone mistook me for Heather, though, in the chat.
Uh-oh.
No, they mistook me for Heather. It's fine.
Oh. Is it labeled? No, it's not even labeled.
It's not labeled. I don't know where the labels went. They just kind of disappeared, but that's fine.
I was going to say, I thought we had labels at one point. Whatever.
Labels are for offices.
Uh-oh.
All right, anyway.
Jordan's in the chat.
Jordan's in the chat.
Bum,
Yeah,
bum,
he
bum.
wasn't invited because he didn't do any reading.
That's true. Jordan doesn't read. So we're going to be talking about the Advanced Player's Guide today. And again, please let us know in the chat if we're still dialing in all of our knobs and such. So we've got them set up for recording right now, which I guess the levels are somewhat different than for live streaming.
Apparently.
So...
Yeah. Well, and I'm also in a different room than I usually am. So.
It's true. I banished her.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I've got my own room now, guys.
So we're going to start by talking about this beautiful book that we have right here. My first thought is, I think I had this thought whenever they did the announcement of that. I'm going to hold up something here just so everyone can see. This is the original cover. And I love the parallel between that and the new book, where it just seems like kind of a continuation. Like, okay, well, I guess the alchemist died. But Freya found a swashbuckler and hopped on a cool boat to get away.
It's true.
But still is fighting through that. I don't think Damiel died. He snuck in a couple places in other books. I think,
he wandered off though, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I love the cover to this. I think it's wonderful. It's very dynamic. The artwork in this book, as I will often say about most of the Pathfinder Second Edition books, is a cut above the rest.
It is very gorgeous. We're not going to be able to share any of it with you, but we will tell you that it's gorgeous. Specifically,
I will describe it in rich detail.
The catfolk with the feather boa is probably one of my favorite things in this whole book.
Yeah, the fur design too is quite
so cute, so good.
We'll have to talk about all of our favorite art pieces maybe at the end. We are going to do a Q&A at the end of this, by the way, so feel free to post any of your questions up in the chat. We cannot go into great detail because this book is not out yet. But if you have questions about our opinions are our own, and we are able to share those with you.
It's true.
So how about we kick this off? And I feel like I'm talking a lot.
Let's talk about some ancestries.
Kind of what you do.
It is what I do. So yeah, chapter 1 is the ancestries and backgrounds.
Yep. So we got 5 new ancestries.
They're new for second edition.
New for second edition, yes. So I don't know about y'all, but I am super excited for the catfolk. Like, it was really hard for me to get past reading about this section. I'm really thinking the catfolk is in my future.
Yes, the catfolk are really great. I'm not going to tell you specifically what it is, but there is an ability that catfolk get where they can yowl daringly in the face of adversity and keep their friends from going unconscious. And that's pretty amazing. Just a cat going, and then you're not dead. You're fine.
But it reminds me of real life when your cat is having an issue, and they make that noise. And any cat owner knows the noise, and it will wake you from a dead sleep. So I feel like, yes, cats are fully capable of making noises in which will prevent you from going unconscious.
Yeah.
So after catfolk, I suppose we'll kick this over to Jess, because I know this is a favorite of hers.
I do like kobolds a lot. I don't super love their redesigned look, because they don't have necks. They look kind of like thumbs. But they have a lot of cute feats and like stuff. Thumbs. There's a lot of sniveling, kind of like cowardly things that they have going on, which does make me sad, because the kobold I played wasn't sniveling. But thematically, they make sense.
Yeah.
And it's fun that they, of course, got in anytime that they can include more of the small options, the small ancestries in there. That's always kind of nice. Give some love to the small folk.
And I mean, just the naming I feel like they got more creative with how they named feats and skills and things in second edition. All the names are funny and descriptive in a way that they were kind of flat in first edition.
Very, very short tangent. I remember an interview with, I think it was Mark Seifter during Gen Con. I wanted to say it was last year when they launched it, that they said that they, I think Luis brought this up also, that they named things what people of that ancestry would call it. So that they try to kind of envision the name of the things from the perspective of the actual ancestry.
That is pretty cool.
I'm doing my best to say ancestry every time, because it's really hard to break myself of that.
It is
Everyone's
difficult.
saying that I'm quiet.
I have boosted your levels.
Oh, okay, good.
It's okay, we got you.
Slid the little slider.
Yay.
So after that, we've got the
Orc,
orcs.
which is awesome. Gives your half orcs a whole bunch of new feats to take. Some of which I'm eyeing for my society character. So level 13 is going to be great for her. But I mean, they're what you would expect orcs to be. I think they codified the tusks, which had been in the back of some book, maybe an AP book. So pretty good stuff for orcs. I'm glad the orcs are included, because it was weird to have a half orc and not orcs.
Yeah, I kind of felt like the orcs should have been the option instead of goblins in the core rulebook, with the way that they're handling the half elven and half orc ancestries.
Yeah.
However, or heritages. I'm sorry, they're not ancestries. Yeah, and then after that we've got the rat folk. So for any of you who like your Yosoki but with a sword and sorcery bent.
I just love that one of the first things that popped out when I was reading was hoarders.
Yep.
Hoarders. They still get their little cheeky pouches.
The cheek pouches. You have to have cheek pouches.
They're amazing.
You can pretty dapper too.
They're one of them looks dapper. And there's like some feats that help you store more stuff in your mouth if you want bigger cheek pouches. I don't know how that's supposed to work, but it's pretty great.
I'm going to assume that you evolve from like a rat folk to more of a chipmunk, or maybe some sort of hamster.
I think they explain it away as you essentially have gotten better at packing things into the cheek pouch, I think.
Oh, you're more efficient.
Oh.
Yeah, you practice playing Tetris, and then you were able to fit more stuff in your mouth.
It makes me think because one of the people in chat said Ratful Swashbuckler, and it makes me think of oh gosh, the character from the Chronicles of Narnia that was voiced by Eddie Izzard. That was like he was.
You're
awesome
pulling from a
Ratful-
movie I saw like one
Yep.
time.
I know and everything, but I was trying to think of him, and I was like, man, that as a Pathfinder character would be really cool.
I was thinking more great Mouseketeer kind of thing, but anyway.
Fair.
So
Reap, yeah, there it is. Reap cheap.
The chat
Knew
always
somebody was
has
gonna
you.
know it.
Thank you, chat. From there, we've got the Tengu, and the Tengu are the ones that are actually represented by the new iconic for
Yeah, the Oracle.
Oracle.
Yeah.
So
Cool looking.
unfortunately, I can't remember the name of the Oracle from first edition.
Alazara, maybe?
But
don't
I suppose
remember.
minor teaser here, and I wouldn't really consider this to be spoiler stuff or whatever. She does appear in this book, so if you're a big fan of hers, she's not completely gone. So there is that.
That's true.
But yeah, no, I've always really liked the Tengu. I like their flavor and their flair. I really like the way that they fit into the Golarion setting.
Yeah.
The Jinx Eaters and
Yeah,
all of that
that's what I was gonna
down.
say.
Yeah, down in the shackles. It
They're
makes for
very
a
cute.
lot of fun, and they've got a phenomenal selection of feats. I think they still have fun eye gouging options, which
Yep.
if
I
you're a
believe
Tengu
so.
player,
They also have
I-
something called Squawk, which I'll let you decide what you think that does. But the naming in this book is so good.
I don't know if this is like a specific, I don't think it is at all, a feat or anything, but I was reading that they use their own feathers for crafting,
I mean,
which I thought was cool.
it'd be cool to play like a Tengu Fletcher, like you make arrows. That's kind of your whole thing.
Or like quills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, or quills. You have a whole shop that's feather themed.
Yeah, that'd be really neat.
There's your profession, quill maker.
Yeah, your background.
yeah, and then of course they have introduced the versatile heritages.
Yeah, that was neat.
So I love the flavor and the concept behind them, because it's a heritage that can be applied to any ancestry. So
Yep.
now if you want to say I'm playing a dwarf, but I'm playing a dwarf whose family has delved into diabolism, or whose family have long served angelic beings, then you could be an Azamar or Tiefling.
Mm-hmm.
You could also be a changeling.
reverse.
You were stolen and switched out
Yeah.
or something.
Yep.
Well, and
cool.
it's I wanted to say that they've always said that hags can interbreed with any humanoids.
Yeah,
I think so.
So yeah, so if it's just like I'm a hag and I live in a halfling settlement, if you want to be a halfling changeling, then
Go for
there
it.
you go.
Now possible.
They also brought the Dusk Walker in, which is interesting
Oh,
because I don't
yes.
remember them from first edition, so they must be tucked
don't
away in one of
either.
those strange.
I
little
wanted to say
books.
it's one of the obscure splat books. I'm sure someone in chat can probably answer this, but Plains of no. Anyway, but there's something that I don't think got a lot of attention because they kind of came in and then we transitioned to a new system.
Yeah.
It's kind of the way that they put Leshy forward early, because
Oh,
so many
yeah.
people fell in love with Leshies,
Yeah.
but Leshies were introduced so late into Pathfinder First Edition that people
Mhm.
didn't really get a chance to enjoy and experience playing a tiny vine person.
They're in the Plains book.
Yep,
According
they're
to
from
chat.
the Plains book.
Yeah, but
So-
they're very cool. Dusk Walkers. I feel like if we were playing Tyrant's Grasp in second edition, I would have wanted Ailsa to be a Dusk Walker because they have a lot of Pharasma kind of themed stuff. That would have been pretty cool.
That would have been neat.
Yeah.
Heck, Darcy could have probably pulled off Duskwalker pretty well too.
Well, and the Planar Scion opens the which is what they refer to anyone who has like outsider blood that affects their heritage.
Mhm.
Will eventually be a great option to apply for things like the Suli or the
Mhm.
Oreads or the not Madrid. Anyway, wherever the heck Masika is.
That's funny. What is she? Oh, married? No,
Undine?
Undyne. That's it.
Yep.
We should
Took me a
know
second.
this.
We should.
The chat has a good question. I guess I'll throw it in here because it's relevant.
Certainly.
Did they formalize the other halves, like half orc, half elf, or is that still leave it up to your DM? As far as I know, the half orc and half elf are still human only
There's
things.
still human heritages, although in the core rulebook they do kind of imply that it's like if your game master wants to say you can be a half orc, half dwarf, feel free.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think as written, that's not
Canonical.
canonical. Thank you. That's not canonical for the Golarion setting.
Yep.
For all of those people out there who always ask things that I cut out of the episodes, my stuttering over words that should be common is one of them. So I'll cut that out in the future.
I don't know how often people are saying canonical in their everyday life.
I don't know. I feel like I say canonical at least once a day, just to myself quietly.
Nerds say canonical a lot.
Yeah,
At a
because you're
Star Wars
arguing.
canon. They
It's
say
Yeah.
canon.
That is
Is it
canonical.
my
friend.
head canon?
Oh my god.
pretty much anytime Disney buys something, people start talking about canon.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then of course they've got new feats that they introduced in this section for the core ancestries. So you get 5 new ancestries, and then the 3 different types of versatile heritages, and then you get tons of new ancestry options for the existing. I think it mostly focuses on the core ones: dwarves, elves, gnomes, goblins.
Yes. Well, I found what's really strange is that the humans specifically don't get a lot of low level. I think the lowest one in this book is like 9th level, the ancestry feat for humans. Or it's 5th, excuse me.
But I
but
found that,
it's interesting.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was surprised that there weren't more for some of the classes or
Ancestries.
ancestry. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird because humans have some really great first level ancestry feats, but I, as a player, sometimes find them a little boring, and I wanted more options. And I mean, at 5th level, I have some cool stuff now. I mean, I had some cool stuff before at 5th level, but I was hoping for some more first level ones.
I mean, maybe Paizo just gave up and went, okay, well, we gave the humans the feat that lets you take an extra class feat at first level,
which is
everyone
rad.
will take, because it's amazing.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to assume everyone takes that, and let's come up with some other higher level ones.
Yeah. It kind of feels like that. But yeah, there's some great ancestry feats in here. If you were a fan of rubber body for goblins, that's a thing now. There is a feat similar to it anyway.
I think I'm most eager to try one of the gnome ancestry feats, just empathetic plea.
The names are so good. Razzle dazzle. Like, the names are so good.
One of them is extra squishy.
I remember the 2 that stood out to me. There was an elven feat where you can, I think it's at the beginning of the day, you can remember a language you haven't used in so long that you basically forgotten and don't have it on your character sheet, but you gain that language for the day. They're like, I did know how to speak Dwarven once.
Let me
and
think
you can
about
spend
it.
some time remembering how you spoke Dwarven before.
But
there's also
the prerequisite for that is like how old your character is, which is also, I've never seen them do that. Like, you have to be at least 100 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
It's cool.
There's also an awesome Dwarven feat that lets you boomerang throwing weapons back to you.
Grim needs to get this.
Boomerang.
I
They
do.
do always come back.
They do always come back. But yeah. And then there's some new backgrounds in here. Both common backgrounds, and they introduced rare backgrounds now.
I'm just liking the variety.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you can really dive into a cool backstory for your characters based on these.
Or you can make yourself. They have a teacher. They have halflings. They have barbarians. So Rachel can now be a second edition character.
Little did you know I'm a barbarian in real life.
Only when driving.
In the car.
Yeah.
You raise a very valid. I was going to talk a little bit about this a little bit later on, but I think now it's a kind of a theme that runs through this. Is when second edition launched, a lot of people talked about how they felt somewhat limited because they had so many options in first edition, and the advanced player's guide was revolutionary. The original, this guy was revolutionary for Pathfinder first edition, because that's where it introduced the entire concept of having alternate class abilities, your archetypes, all the rest of that came in. And I feel like this is kind of opening that door. They established a very firm foundation with the core rulebook, with everything that they put out since then. But this one opens up so many new avenues that I feel like I've already reached a point where I could make a new character every day of the year for 365 days and not repeat characters.
Yep.
I get tired of playing first level, but would not have to repeat characters. But also, I will point out for these common backgrounds, there are a couple of these that I'm surprised like weren't in the core, like teacher.
Yeah.
I was like, teacher didn't make that. Bandit was in here, and I was like, how was Bandit not in there before?
It does kind of make me think though that it societally it was different. Teachers being a thing in the traditional sense that we know now is actually a pretty common idea. Back in the day, it was, oh, you took this apprenticeship, so your teacher was, the master of that field. So having, a schoolhouse teacher might be actually a bit strange.
That's true. Although I think the weirdest one is tax collector.
I love tax collector being.
You're like choosing to be essentially the bad guy in Robin Hood. But cleric of Abadar.
Abadar, yeah. For all you Abadarians out there, you finally have you've got your option right there. or maybe you're a tax collector and you were so bad at it because you're such a generous person that you kept giving people and then you got fired. So that's your background, but now you're an adventurer because apparently you're bad at being a tax collector.
But it gives you intimidation.
Doing a vigilante thing.
Yeah.
Where you're, the tax collector, but then you're like feeding information to the Robin Hood, who then steals all the money back.
I mean,
we'll touch on vigilante again a bit. Also, rare backgrounds.
Yes, they're cool.
Okay. I am actually really happy that some of these are rare because they are the cliche ones. And so I'm like, yes, not everybody can be like, oh, I'm the, I don't want to reveal all of them, but
for the rare backgrounds, these are basically backgrounds that your game master has to give you permission to use. And it's in large part because some of them are a little bit stronger, I think, than standard backgrounds.
Yeah, like Cursed has a really good reaction tied to it.
Yeah, it's the only background that I've ever seen that gives you a reaction.
Yeah.
And I feel like these are great backgrounds to introduce characters in if you've lost a character. I feel like this is a great way to say it. It's like, okay, a character died in book 3, and then you can bring in new characters, except for the amnesiac background, which is in here, which you can give every one of your players if you decide to make Strange Aeons into 2nd edition.
That's true.
Which would be great.
Which is what, I mean, we did that, but without the whole thing.
We didn't have
also,
backgrounds.
shout out to the fact that royalty is in here. So if you literally want to play the Crown Prince who's out adventuring, it is a background option.
It's rare, so you have to get permission.
It is rare.
Yeah.
That's true.
But
I know that's kind of a controversial thing too, though, is it, people are like, I don't understand why that's rare. I shouldn't have to get permission. And I'm like, it's part of the story. Like sometimes you can't just be like, oh, I'm the long lost prince. It's not gonna work in all stories.
Yeah, and a lot of those rare backgrounds are backgrounds that they feel like really good backgrounds if you're the protagonist of a novel. But if everyone in the party is blessed by the gods, or everyone in the party is a feral child, or everyone in the party is royalty, the story just is weird.
Unless you're playing War for the Crown and then you gave everyone the royalty back.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool though in that case.
Exactly.
That's what I mean, is like for the story, like you gotta learn how to be flexible with that. You can't always get what you want because it's almost better if you don't sometimes.
That's true. There's also the chat's talking about the piece of art that's here, which is essentially Rapunzel like propelling down a tower with a greatsword and pigeons.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And pigeons.
There's pigeons.
They're all her familiars.
Yes. Yes. She was raised by pigeons.
She was raised.
Tower.
It's actually a feral child that was raised on top of a tower by pigeons.
Yes.
Yes. New character idea.
There you go.
Yes.
We'll have a bunch by the end of this night.
I know we should. Oh, we're recording it. Great.
Oh yeah, we should be writing these down. Yeah, that brings us into chapter 2, and
such
I
a good
suppose for this first one, Rachel, do you want to take away talking about the first of the new classes that we have here?
I think Rachel should.
Is it the one I think it is?
Yes.
Should be.
Sorry, I had to scroll through my notes. Okay, so I have a bit of a love affair with the investigator. Everyone in our group knows this. We did the beta test for it back in the day. I love the investigator. I think it just kind of fits my interests in real life too,
In true
because
crime?
they're the character. I do love true crime. I'm actually listening to quite a few of different podcasts right now. Shout out to Morbid, these two little ladies that I listen to who live up in Massachusetts. I think you're funny and great. But I've been listening to you. I'm on like episode 7. Not that they listen to this, but there you go.
I derailed Rachel. Sorry.
But I feel like the investigator for me, when I was reading through this, it kind of feels like the Guy Ritchie version of Sherlock, and that is what I am here for. And I do really like that it is not, because I felt like in 1E, if you didn't have alchemy, then that just kind of ruined it.
Then you better have a gun.
Have it. Yeah, you had to have a gun, and then it was still awkward because there was still this alchemical tie. It was very strange for me, and it was very hard to work around it. We did, because I had totally fun with the investigator. But I like how they've broken it up to you so that you can be like a different kind of investigator.
Yeah,
it's not just one track now. It's varied, and it's awesome, and I cannot wait to play an investigator.
I will also throw out there that from a GM standpoint, which I oftentimes look at this from, I like how much the investigator involves itself with the game master. That it's a lot of the investigator opening up doors, especially during an investigation or even during just most adventures, to allow the game master to give more information.
Yeah.
Because that's what I always want to do. I always want everyone to pass their knowledge checks, because I'm like, I just want to tell you about how amazing this place is that you're adventuring in right now, and its deep, rich history, and why you should be afraid.
Mostly that.
Sometimes I can't.
Gosh,
Mostly
what is
that
this?
last
Skinsaw Murders Part 2?
Yep. I suppose from there we should step down, and this next one I know is a personal favorite of Jessica's. So
it's the Oracle.
Yep.
Yeah, the Oracle's great.
great.
It looks like they refined the Oracle from the playtest a little bit. I played an Oracle in Fall of Plaguestone. I did the playtest Battle Oracle, Boracle.
Oracle.
They added a bunch of mysteries. I think there's like 8 or something. And I like the way that they did curses. The curses are tied to your mystery still, just like in the playtest. And there's like the minor version and the major version, and they're all tied into you using your focus spells, which is cool. Because it makes those curses feel like they're more alive than they did in first edition. First edition curses were super good, but I like the way that they play with mysteries now. It's neat. Yeah. Also, this Tengu's cute.
Yep. And so yeah, after the Oracle, we go to the Swashbuckler. For those of us who like to buckle our swash.
Panache.
I'm
so excited for some panache.
I will say it has a very unique mechanic to it. So those of you, of course, familiar with it from the playtests, know that it's panache is something that you don't bank. You're just expected to be constantly building and spending it. And so it really rewards you for playing. It's a character class that really rewards you for playing it to the flavor of the class.
Be the action hero that you have always wanted to be.
Yeah. And of course you have your various styles and all the rest of that, which affect how you even play your character. I'm particularly big fan of the wit as far as your swashbuckling style, but it's a lot of fun, and it doesn't feel, the swashbuckler in first edition was a hybrid class. It was your rogue
fighter,
gunslinger. It was something gunslinger. Because you basically had deeds.
Yeah.
Except you just called it something
gunslinger
else.
Rogue makes sense.
And but in this case, it really feels unique and individual, and I think it adheres more to the ideal of it than necessarily directly translating over the mechanics from first edition.
Oh, apparently it was a fighter gunslinger.
So maybe I always just played mine kind of roguish.
Yeah, they just feel roguish. Although, I mean, I think what you're saying about the fact that it feels like all of the classes, when you lean into the flavor of that class, you get the most out of it.
Yeah.
Because, the Oracle, the feature is that mystery. The investigator, the feature is doing investigations. And so you really do get to be the master of that kind of domain, which is cool.
Yeah. Also, and this is something much later on, I think it's like chapter 6, but they also included the Dueling Cape. So if you want to have your
Yes.
like your
Ooh.
your Ezio Auditore style,
Nice.
you know, I have weapon in one hand and my Dueling Cape on the other side. I really love that they included that in there to get the full swashbuckler flavor.
Not all of the auditores are dead.
It's true.
Sorry.
One
Uh,
of you two like to conquer the witch?
Oh, the witch is so cool.
We're so divided on this, though.
You're divided?
No, as in that, like, we both want to talk about it.
We can both talk about it.
We can both talk about it. Okay,
The
you
witch.
Go.
I didn't look at the witch in the playtest at all because I was doing the oracle. I don't know if this was in the playtest or not. It probably was. But your spell list kind of depends on your patron. You essentially kind of pick your theme, and that's going to determine which spell list you cast off of, like the sorcerer a little bit.
Yeah, and I like
so
that,
cool.
the getting to
Yeah.
have the different spell lists. I think that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Well, because I remember in first edition, I always wanted to play like a witch doctor or something before the witch doctor was a thing. And I always thought that it made more sense for them to cast off of like the druid list or something. And so now you can
Yeah.
kind of
Mm.
pick a patron that aligns with the list you really want for the flavor, which is cool. And adds a little
Yeah.
bit of that like weirdness to witches. Like witches,
Yes.
they cast spells, but you're never sure what spell list they're going to cast off of until they start casting.
Yeah.
Well, because witches are always, maybe it's because I think of like historically, you know, they have the spell books and whatever, and you can write whatever you want in the spell book. So it kind of makes sense that they have this weird eclectic, you know, mix of stuff. Depending on what you as a witch would study, it would make sense that your spell book is not the same as every other witch.
Well,
Yeah.
your spell book is a cute baby animal.
That's true.
That is true.
Uh,
I had one.
yeah, and on the subject actually of the various types of witches and how you can have it, it also plays a little bit more into, you can, you know, have the, you know, Glinda the Good Witch kind of thing where it's like, I have all these beneficial powers, or kind of the hedge witch idea where it's, you know, well, I'm actually more of a healer than I am a spellcaster or cursing people type of character.
Yep.
Which
you kind of
they
get
had
lessons.
to a degree in. Yeah.
Yeah, the lessons was
Cool.
a cool addition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And on the
everything
subject
they.
of the
Sorry,
Oh,
you can.
go on. Oh, just gonna say on the subject of the familiar, as you guys were just about to talk about, I do like that the familiar for the witch is just more powerful than anyone else's familiar.
Yeah, it
That
should
they just get
be
more abilities.
because it's like the
because it's so
walking.
It's your walking spellbook.
Yeah, it's a walking spellbook. I was like,
I'm
wait,
gonna
my
have
brain.
to do a witch one of these days, and my familiar will be named Thackeray.
Thackeray Binks.
Thackeray.
You can also name your familiar book, and that would be funny.
Yeah.
Because they're not a book, but they're like a spell book. Anyway, the familiars in here are really cool, but I think that's a future chapter.
Yeah.
I mean, the cackle is still here, so all the things you probably liked about first edition witches are here.
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, the cackle's still there.
Oh, the cackle.
So it's just I felt like all four of these classes really, Paizo kind of drilled down on what people loved about them, not mechanically but thematically, and found a way to make the mechanics fit the theme better.
It's true. And at level 20, I can live out my life's dream of having a chicken hut like Baba Yaga. Because you can get a witch's hut that you make. That's kind of like Baba Yaga's chicken hut.
That is pretty cool.
Life
It's
dream
just called
accomplished.
Witch's Hut, though. I think I don't think it's full chicken hut. You can choose a different bird.
It's true.
It's true.
Uh,
Amazing.
Yeah, and so after the witch, the book includes a lot of new options for all of the other classes. So basically, I will throw out what I think is probably the one that I'm most interested for, even if it's not necessarily something I'm going to see myself playing, which is the evil champion options.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
interesting.
yeah.
So, you know, now you can be a champion of any of the evil alignments. I think it's Tyrant. I can't remember what the other two are called. But
Don't remember.
I can
Yeah,
look really
so-
quick. What are they called?
all sorts of cool new evil champion
Oh,
things to do.
one of them is the anti-paladin. And
Yeah.
one of them is the desecrator.
Ah,
So there you go.
so yeah, so from a game master standpoint, that's going to give you tons of new things to use potentially against your players, or inspiration for things to use, give your enemies going forward. And then from a player standpoint, if you're playing Hell's Vengeance, there you go.
There you go.
Or if you're one of those people that always wants to play evil.
To backtrack ever so slightly, I have to point this out to Jessica in case she hasn't seen this. Flamingo hut, bright pink. That's what somebody suggested.
Bryn
in the chat.
Altorin knows my heart.
Just had to point that out because it is so Jessica.
Oh my
it is on
God.
point. You don't even know.
I do want to play a witch real bad. To level 20 so that I can have a hut. So,
right?
Yeah. Just
I
start
was just
level
on the
20.
beach all the time and have my flamingo. Ah, yes.
How did you ever reach level 20?
I don't know, but then
So-
I retired with my hut.
If we ever do a 2E
Yeah.
version of Ruins of Aslant, Jessica has a character idea.
Ooh. Yes, I do.
Not wrong.
But the other two things that I want to point out as far as the new options for the core 12 classes are the Warden Ranger, who gets focus spells. So if you wanted a
That's cool.
spellcasting ranger again, that's neat. And the new rogue rackets, which are really neat.
I will
So-
say I'm disappointed that there are not any more druid orders. But
Yeah, I figured
because
you
I
would
feel
be.
like 4 is just not enough.
I don't think so either.
Because they're all really classic. There aren't any super weird ones. But there is a really cool feat where you can make like a seed into a weapon and back into a seed. So you get kind of, there's like some cool feats that they gave the druids. So
Yeah.
that's fun.
I like the desiccator sound. Desiccator. That's desecrator sounds like a Spawn villain.
A little bit.
Yeah. Probably
Uh,
also would have a clown face.
Which core class got the least love?
Least love. Oh, I don't know.
I think they all got a 2-page spread.
I'm not gonna lie though, the barbarian feats that got added on just make me feel like they were trying to make the barbarian into a witcher.
The monk got 3 pages.
Yeah, some of them got more than. I mean, like the champion got
4.
like 6 or something like that.
Yeah. The druid. That's what I'm sticking with.
Yeah, I
Probably
don't
the
feel like,
druid.
and I feel like the cleric didn't get a whole
Oh,
lot of new
yeah.
options available to
Yeah.
them. But the clerics also did just get gods and magic, so I
That
think
is
that
true.
that's okay.
So maybe that's why.
Um,
So balanced out.
sorcerers got a lot of love. They got a couple new bloodlines, including the Psychopomp bloodline, which I'm
Yeah.
excited
Cool.
for.
That looks really neat.
So you got
But-
some cool stuff there for sure.
Yeah. And then after the classes, we get to, I think, some of Jessica's favorite section again, which is just more animals.
Animals.
Since they have new animal companions and familiar section.
Including
I
a
mean,
bat.
I don't think everyone
Yeah.
can see, but Jessica is wearing her druid back shirt.
Druid facts.
Shout out to Sarah.
It'll be on the
But,
shop at
uh,
some
Okay.
point. But yeah, you can have a little let's see, an arboreal sapling. You can have a little tree friend that runs around with you, which is pretty
That's
cool.
So cool. It's like having a little DQ tree following you around.
Yep.
I would like to point out that Riding Drake is an animal companion
Ah.
in here.
Cool.
Yes. And boars.
Dragon rider.
Although the
boars.
weirdest one to me is shark, because sharks are cool. But again, if you're not on the water,
Aquatic campaign. It
I
gives you an option for an aquatic campaign.
that's true. That's true.
Unless it's like I'm gonna go real obscure here. That one Christmas special of Doctor Who where the sharks were floating around in the fog.
Okay, if
So,
we go to a
if you're
this
on a
isn't
strange
Starfinder.
planet,
If this was Starfinder and we were going to a planet where sharks could swim through fog and the whole planet
Then it
was
would make
covered in
sense.
fog.
Okay,
then-
Jessica.
awesome.
Shark with a ring of fly.
oh, but this
And an
still
Ioun
can't
stone that
breathe.
means it doesn't have to
Yeah.
breathe.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we'll make this work.
All right, I need a
Have a
lot of money.
I'm not sure if they have either of those still in second edition, but
And
we'll
we'll
try.
make them with our crafting.
And other than the new familiar abilities and a couple new familiar like options, there's specific familiars now
Yeah.
where you can get imps and fairy dragons and things like
I want
that.
a
So
fairy
that's
And a
really neat.
slime. You can get a little slime friend.
As long as they're not like the slimes in Stardew Valley, because then I raised one on my farm and then it attacked me and I was sad.
You have to
They're
have the
kind
slime
of like
ring.
that, except they're your friend.
Yeah, you have to have a ring to keep them friendly to you.
I didn't know that, and then I had to kill the poor thing.
You gotta go make a sacrifice to the
I
witch.
wasn't gonna run away.
Anyway. I never get to the
So,
point where I'm farming slimes in Stardew Valley.
Someday.
Yeah.
I guess that brings us to chapter 3, which is probably my favorite chapter of this book, despite how much I enjoyed the other, the new classes and the new ancestries, which is the archetypes chapter.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in the archetypes
There
chapter
is
for
a
sure.
lot.
I think I counted 40. It might have been 41.
It's a
But
bunch,
yeah.
There's a lot.
including like the Shadow Dancer, which is rad.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of the prestige classes from first edition show back up in here.
Yeah.
You've got like your Shadow Dancer in there. There's the Duelist, which makes
Cavalier.
an appearance in here.
There's a
In
full
some
class.
some old full classes, the Cavalier and the Vigilante are both in
Mhm.
here as archetypes for you to take.
The Vigilante gets
Uh,
a safe house still. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
And now you can also do an entire story themed around, being a bunch of vigilantes, and just like everyone takes the vigilante dedication,
Mhm.
and we've got a vigilante rogue and a vigilante swashbuckler and vigilante, I don't know, alchemist.
And now you're the Justice League.
Now you're the
true.
Justice League.
Sees Heron.
And some of them are hilarious. There's one called Dandy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that one.
You're a
'cause I
dandy.
want to just be a bard now.
Yes.
Just channel my inner dandelion.
Oh, it's good. That's good stuff.
I do. Some of these though are very interesting just by the names. I understand a lot of them were prestige classes from before, but I forgot about some of them. Like I want to like dive into Scroll Trickster. It just sounds cool.
I'm
Yeah.
just really into scrolls. There is a piece of art on the Beastmaster page of just a really like cool, awesome warrior woman and a giant badger. It's just the biggest badger I've ever seen,
Honey
and
Badger
it's
don't
very
care.
cute.
Yeah, so I feel like, again, it's that thing where I feel like this large selection of archetypes has really opened up just the sheer number of characters that this game can accommodate.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And especially it opens it up for doing themed adventure paths. So if you're doing something like Skull and Shackle, everyone can take a pirate archetype.
Yeah.
And you can be a variety of different pirate. Or if everyone's doing, I don't know, Iron Fang Invasion, translated to second edition, then everyone can can take the Scout. And
True.
heck, there's a gladiator archetype if everyone wants to be a gladiator.
Yeah, it really lets you kind of run wild with your imagination, which is, let's be honest, that's why a lot of us got into playing RPGs to begin with.
It's true. It is true. Somebody is asking specifically about that druid ability. Let me see if I can look at it and be a little more detailed. Not super detailed, but a little more. Because it was
Just
the
a
one
little
thing
bit
that
more.
redeemed the druid section in here for me. So essentially, you can cultivate a seed that becomes a staff, vine whip, or weapon. And you essentially put your energy into it, and so you can change it from seed to weapon however you want to. I think it's like an action or something to do that. You can attach runes and talismans and stuff to it. So it's kind of like a cool little druidy weapon that you get with this class feat. So it's pretty cool.
Hmm.
So you just carry around an acorn, and then sometimes your acorn is a sword.
I mean, that's fun.
Yeah, it's rad.
Yeah, I will also mention that there are two other pieces of artwork other than the Badger Woman, which is really cool. That's
So
in this
cute.
section. One of them is a reappearance of Shinsen, which, for those of you familiar with her, shows up in one of the other adventure paths, and is also one of James Jacobs' characters.
Mm.
Nice.
And she's also the iconic artwork for the celebrity in here, which makes perfect
Oh,
sense for
yeah.
a character. And I also like to think that the ritualist is some sort of cultist of Hastur, because he's just this guy in just these brilliant yellow robes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty great.
He does seem a lot like, have you seen the yellow sign?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also do like the fact that the Cavalier and Vigilante, the full classes that then get the archetype treatment in here, do get much larger sections. Most of the
They do.
archetypes are usually one page, but in both of those cases, I think they were 2 or 3 page spread. So gives you a chance to actually fully develop that type of character.
I honestly have just really enjoyed seeing so much of the art in the book, because that is such a big inspiration for how to do your characters. And
Oh yeah.
and every now and then when you are trying to say, like in our case, when we will get artwork commissioned and I'm like, what is that supposed to look like? I don't know. What does armor look like? And it's nice to be able to go back in the book and be like, I want it to look kind of like this.
Mm.
So having those options for me, being very visual, helps a lot.
That's true. That's true.
And also it's just paving the way for the inevitable advanced player's guide pawn box set full of different tiny little pawn guys with all this artwork.
Yeah.
So in the future when we can.
Yeah, I'm assuming this is the Shadow Dancer. On, she's the chick that's like, looks like she's holding 2 kukris, maybe.
She has
or
a
2
very
swords
long
and
braid.
a very long
Yeah.
braided ponytail. She looked pretty awesome.
Well, they kept all the they kept the original character from the first one, just with updated artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't see it from here because it's behind this this lovely little curtain behind me. But Jess and Jordan, our first PaizoCon, bought me the original sketch from the artist that drew the Arcane Archer that's in the core rulebook.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got the original up on my wall back behind me, and then he makes an appearance in here again because he's back as the Arcane Archer.
Yep.
All right. Moving on though, feats is a thing.
Yeah. I don't
Most
know how
of
much
them
we
are
can
skills.
really. Yeah, it's a lot of mechanics, and I don't know how much we really want to dive into that, but it's a lot of skill feats.
My favorite one is it's a medicine skill feat, and it's called Risky Surgery, so you can just imagine what that's for. But the name's, again, amazing.
My favorite one is the no cause for alarm.
Oh.
It's a diplomacy skill check that lets you remove the frightening condition from people around you.
Everything is
Everyone
fine.
calm down.
It's all fine.
I think it's a 3 action skill though. So it's just like calm down, okay. You're
Sun's
all right.
getting real low.
Yeah. I
Sun's
have
getting
enjoyed
real
the
low.
naming conventions of
So
this
good.
book much more than I have for naming conventions in the past. Stalker. I'll never get over that one.
Rachel is still salty about this.
I'm still salty because I was at the PaizoCon where they were talking about naming that.
Yeah, she
and
talked.
I even said it to all of them. I was like, Stalker is not a good choice for this. It has a bad connotation. As an English teacher, I say no.
Yep.
And they did it anyway.
JB didn't listen to her.
He didn't
didn't
listen to
listen.
me, and I'm very sad about that. JB, I have words.
Unrelated, but kind of related, because it's technically Pathfinder. The piece of art that's in this feat section of Lem standing on a table pointing at his wall of crazy.
That
While
is
Mariciel
hands down
sleeps.
my favorite
Ah.
piece of artwork in this entire book.
Yes.
Is just Lim with his string wall of crazy behind him.
And
It's like
oh my
I
gosh.
figured it out.
And
And
Mariciel
I
is just
totally-
like,
thank you, Mariciel. Yeah, she's just like, oh my god,
it's amazing.
Why are you talking?
I love it though.
Yep. Although the creepy skin soul cult picture that's a couple ones after that is also great.
That's all the artists. So, oh yeah, you're right. I like
Oh,
the
look at it.
clock made of arms.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It actually
The
reminds
13
me
hours.
of when you ran Rise of the Rune Lords for us and had our art friend, Dean, who helped us with the Find the Path videos back in the day. He did a drawing of one of the crime scenes
Oh,
for us,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
that really helped immerse in the story. It was like, oh my god.
It's true.
Oh yeah.
It's awesome.
So yeah, but there are tons of new feats in here, mostly skill feats. There's a 19th level skill feat, so be sure to check that one out whenever you get a chance.
That's true.
Yeah. And then from
There's
there
a
we go
bunch
into
of
spells.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of spells. There are a bunch of spells that I was surprised to realize weren't in the core rulebook.
Yeah. Like Force
Yeah,
Cage.
a little bit.
Like Force Cage, Innervation.
Yeah,
Oh.
Innervation is one that surprised
Hey,
me.
but Rick, your favorite spell, Blistering Invective, is in here now.
It is. I love the crap out of that. I played an amazing I was an Inquisitor of Love. I was an Inquisitor of Shellin that people would upset. He just had a little bit of short temper though, and then when things didn't go his way, mostly because he was constantly flirting with what ended up being the bad guy in every I think of one of the stories we
yeah, we pretty much knew that if Rick started flirting with any character, that character was the bad guy.
did. It's
Yep.
true. And then I would scream at them horrifying profanities and cause people to explode.
Yep.
So
Like you do.
like you do. There are tons of new focus spells in here, which are neat,
Mhm.
including some great options for if you decide to play that focus spell casting ranger.
Mm-hmm.
So that one's a lot of fun, and including a couple options if you're, if you decide to go for one of the evil champions.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some interesting ones on here. Just again, judging by the names again. Final sacrifice.
And of course they add in more rituals in here, including a couple of spells that again I hadn't realized hadn't gotten the ritual treatment.
Oh yeah.
Reincarnate is in here as a ritual.
Mhm.
So if you die and want to come back as a random something, that's an option. So is Hero's Feast, which
Oh yeah.
it's interesting as a ritual.
It makes sense because you have to cook the meal, right?
No,
Right?
it just magically appeared before.
I don't know. There's
It
something
even
fun
came with
about
invisible
having
servants.
to do a thing.
I know one day Heather would love if there was a spell compendium. Like
Yeah.
they just took all the spells and just put them in one spot. But I don't know if we're ever going to get that.
I think
Also-
what that's going to end up being is a giant box full of all of your spell cards.
Yeah, because they technically you can get the spell decks. They're very
Yeah.
pretty. You can also get married now. There's a heart bond ritual.
Well, you could get married before, but now it has magic powers.
Now it has magic powers. It's a little. It reminds me of
Magical.
Elder Scrolls Online. When you get married, in that you get like XP bonuses. This doesn't do that exactly, but it helps you out.
I think it lets you sense when your spouse is in danger.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
so.
like, dang, where
Yeah.
was this when we were having our Pathfinder themed wedding?
Yeah, I know.
Well, it was in development.
I know.
Also-
we did invite Paizo.
Also, the artwork for that is great, and if you go on Paizo's the Paizo blog, there's a short story that they wrote that was
Mhm.
about Marisol preparing for her wedding with Kira.
And the pictures in
So-
here, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, and the picture's in there, and it's really neat. So I'm glad that they finally tied the knot.
Yeah, good for them.
So
But yeah,
it's
great
mostly
rituals.
That's mostly the spell chapter. There's great rituals. There's tons of great spells. There's way more spells. We could probably dedicate an entire hour to just talking about the spells in here
It's
because
true.
there are a a lot of fun ones.
But there's also
Oh,
gear.
Vomit Swarm.
there is gear. So yeah, chapter 6 in the book is going to be our items chapter.
Mhm.
And let's be honest, that's one of the best parts is when you finally have enough gold to really just go on a splurge.
Spy stuff.
It's
It's
true.
like, yes.
It
That's
takes a
what makes it a
while in
fantasy
second
game.
edition because you're broke for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to escape reality to a world where I have tons of money that I can just burn on whatever I want.
It's
Right.
true. So
Although I do love the chapter head for this, the
Oh.
artwork, the splash page for the first page or for the page of this chapter, because it's just this dead dragon and this massive mound of gold everywhere.
And they
It is
start
good.
examining
think-
what they have just gotten.
I think my favorite item in here is the ghost charge, which essentially it's chemicals and salts that mess up undead creatures. It makes me think of Supernatural, and like
Oh,
we
yeah.
always are like, where is the salt? Well, now it's in the ghost charge, obviously.
Don't cross the circle of salt.
I also like that they brought back a couple of the classics, the universal solvents in here, the sovereign glues in here, the timeless. I think they call it timeless salts. I think it's
Timeless
more
salts
salt.
are in here, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, which I think is supposed to be like your engine of timelessness. But and as I mentioned before, they do have the Dueling Cape in here, which is probably my favorite item in
It
this
is cool.
entire section because it's just great. And sword canes are back. So
That was for me because that's what I had with my previous investigator.
The sword
Yep.
canes are definitely back. You can be full on dapper AF.
I do like them. I mean, anyone who knows me knows my love of Victorian era steampunkish everything.
It's true.
Yep. Rachel will probably be very happy that they brought back or they have a detective's kit in here,
hmm
which apparently is like a nice leather satchel full of empty vials and tweezers and
But of course, it's like in the Sleepy Hollow movie that Johnny Depp was in back in the day, and he's got
Yeah.
his little kit.
Yeah, exactly.
it's
That's
basically
what it is.
exactly that. It even comes with chalk to draw outlines.
You only do that if the person's still alive,
Fair enough.
because then that way you still have the outline.
I don't know if they have the same rules in Fantasy Golarion, but maybe.
They do
I
now.
mean, who knows?
And it comes with a tiny notebook and a pen for you to keep notes.
Ross will be excited to hear that there's a walking cauldron. It's like a little cauldron on crow's feet
Oh,
that can
awesome.
follow you around. It's pretty cute.
I feel like this sovereign glue has to be like the gorilla glue of
Oh,
It
yeah,
is.
Golarion.
for sure.
That's
sure.
basically it.
And then there's this amazing chapter called the Glossary and Index. It's got a lot of words in
Sure.
it.
There's a little bit of sarcasm that I hear in Jessica's voice, but I love the crap out of their glossary and index and that they've included in these books because they're so detailed.
It's
So-
very detailed.
As a former teacher, I used to have to give lessons to students on how to properly use a glossary because it does save your life sometimes
Yeah.
when you are trying to look something up.
Oh, yeah.
So don't knock the glossary.
No, I just think
No,
it's funny because I was like, oh wait, we're at the end. I'm gonna talk about
Yep.
the glossary. I bet no one else has talked about the glossary.
Probably not.
I'm excited to. Again, it's 4 pages that sums up basically all the rule mechanics in this book into a nice, concise area.
It's true.
Mhm.
Alphabetical.
Yep, I read it before I go to bed.
Rev Khan says a walking cauldron animated object familiar would be amazing.
Oh, you know, it'd be really good. Get an extra large size one, and then you can carry your shark animal companion with you.
Yes. Excellent.
And then if you're deciding to play an evil party with like an anti-paladin or something, you can slowly lower people into your shark cauldron.
This just gets better and better. Well, I guess we'll take any questions if there are any. Maybe we can answer them. Maybe we can't. Depends on the question. I see that there's a kitty.
So,
Yep.
yeah, there's a
But
kitty.
she's the evil one, so I can't
Sophie,
just
the evil
shove
one.
her off.
Is there an Appendix N equivalent inspired readings?
Not that I saw. So unfortunate. But I think they had a big section of that. I think it was in first edition. They had a big one of those. I want to say it was in the Game Mastery Guide.
Okay, you can pick only one archetype to play from this book. Which do you each pick?
Oh gosh.
One archetype.
Archetype.
It's the only archetype you can ever play a character of ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what?
Sorry, I
If
was
you
adding
had to
that.
play, pick only one archetype to pick. You can pick only one archetype to play from this book. Which one do you pick?
Hmm.
I picked the Shadow Dancer because I always wanted to play it in first edition and never got a chance to.
That is true. Hey.
I feel like the Vigilante, because I feel like I could make a Vigilante of every single class and have limitless fun with that class.
That's fair.
Trying to see the list again.
Like a barbarian Vigilante.
Or
Come on.
Dandy, and then you just get to be a fop all the time.
That's true. I was tempted by the Duelist because the Duelist was one of my favorite prestige classes from first edition until the Swashbuckler came out and basically did everything the Duelist does, but kind of better.
Rachel?
Especially if you play an Inspired Blade.
Which two do you have, Rachel?
I'm gonna have to say investigator for one of them because I freaking love the investigator.
You could
I
sit
think
that
I've
on
made
top
this
of any
very
class.
I
clear.
love the Investigator so much that I want to be a Fighter Investigator and a Rogue Investigator and a Sorcerer Investigator.
I mean, why not?
As far as other archetypes, I've kind of always wanted to try out the acrobat,
That's interesting.
Yeah.
like because it makes me think of like Ty Lee from Avatar: The Last
Oh, yeah.
Airbender, and I was like, yeah, I could do like a fun little acrobat character, and I think there's a lot of story stuff you could do with that too.
Sure. All right, let's see what else we have over here. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Psychopomp bloodline? Love me some pomps.
Yeah.
Don't want to get in trouble with Paizo. This book
Maybe like a
hasn't quite
little
come out
tiny
yet.
bit.
It's a little teaser, maybe. Let me find a teaser in here.
Okay. Oh, the next question is a very good question.
So, Psychopomp. Well, I'll let you know that one, it's a divine spellcasting class, and its 9th level spell is Massacre. So how's that?
That's pretty great. Maybe.
Also, you get Intimidation. Do
I can
not
see that.
ask
Fair
for
enough.
whom the bell tolls.
All right, let's see. Next one is hard. What's the one rules element in the book you would just turn around and say, "Nope, Paizo, you done messed this up. Go back and try again."
Oh gosh, that'd be more of a Rick question.
Yeah, I don't have a
know
rules
I don't know
gripe.
enough rules.
I mean,
The grasp of
nothing
duty
really jumps out at me. As I'm certain as people start to play this and start to pick things apart, there's probably going to be some sort of horrible combination of things. Yeah, in this book, nothing really jumped out at me. It wasn't kind of like when I read over the Lizard Folk, I believe it was, the Uruxi in brain just skipped a beat in their own book. There were a couple of their feats, their racial feats, that I felt were kind of too strong to be like an ancestry feat. but I didn't really get that feeling from anything in here. The only thing that I will say was kind of a disappointment, actually, was that the versatile heritage didn't already include some of the elemental bloodlines. Something like the Suli or something like the, the various genie touched. But
I don't really have a rules gripe other than like I wish there were things that aren't in there. That's not.
yeah, that's kind of mine right now.
But I do have an art problem. I really don't like the kobolds. I miss the old kobolds.
Yeah, Jessica does not like the kobolds.
They look like thumbs.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't really like the redesign either. There's no neck.
They don't have necks. They're just weird.
They're not necessarily bad. It's strange. There's like something off proportionally.
Yeah. All right. Next. Any class you feel like is still conspicuously missing, like the kineticist, the occultist, something that doesn't end in ist. The gunslinger.
I think I was gonna say the gunslinger is one that I would love to do.
I really thought the swashbuckler would have guns somehow.
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
Yeah, the gunslinger really stands out as being absent, and other than that, most of them, like a lot of the Slayer went into the new Ranger, so I don't think you necessarily need the Slayer anymore.
I mean, there's none of the occult classes are quite there, but I feel like you can get some of those same vibes other ways.
Yeah, like especially with the bloodlines or
like the occultist was really interesting, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think the two big standouts, and I think because mechanically they're going to be the ones that require the most focus, would be the gunslinger and the summoner.
Oh, the summoner,
Those are difficult to really nail down, and I expect a very comprehensive, especially for the summoner, a very comprehensive playtest when that finally starts to rear its 3 T-Rex heads or whatever it is.
All right, let's see.
Tentacle head.
Yeah, whatever kind of head you want, really.
It's true.
If your fated characters could have one improvement from the book, what would it be? Fated character.
There's a little part of me that thinks Planchette would have done really well as a Dusk Walker.
Ooh, a Dusk Walker would have been really cool.
Yeah, that could have been something really fun to do there.
I mean, because she's already kind of otherworldly.
Yeah. I mean, my fated character was Sagira, so... It might have been cool to pick up the barbarian dedication and kind of play into her like snappy anger a little bit. But that's not in this book. I don't know. I'm pretty happy with Sagira. I don't think I'd need anything else. Sulis don't exist, so if I had to put her as something else, I'd probably make her like...
You could do the Scion, right? The what is it called?
Well, I mean,
but they don't have the elemental bloodlines yet.
Yeah,
so.
They're not in there. Right. So she probably would have had to have been human, or I could have just been like, "F it, she's a cat too," because some of the cat folk stuff is cute. Or she could have been a rat folk, and then she could have been like a little baby rat folk who was friends with all the cat people, and that's kind of funny.
That is
kind of like Fievel Goes West.
As far as the as far as the Viper is concerned, however, the assassin is an archetype in here, and it does still get the ability to assassinate. Not until like 12th level now, and it's a 2 action. But
that's pretty cool. Let's see. What if you were a Fey Inquisitor and your opening phrase was, "Nobody ever expects the Panish Inquisition"?
Oh,
I read your dad joke. I see it.
I knew that was TJ before I even looked over there.
It definitely was.
He is the king of dad jokes.
It's true. I don't see... Somebody says that we might be getting Elemental Planar Scions in Lost Omens Ancestry Guide next spring.
That could be interesting.
Is there a Life Oracle Super Heal Bot option in the new book? There is the Life Mystery still. There is also the Lesson of Life for Witches, which is not related, I guess. But yeah, there's the Life Oracle still a thing.
Yeah, actually, I didn't read over the Oracle as much because I trusted. I was just like, Jessica's going to read this front to back, so I can just leave that in her capable hands.
Yeah, the life oracle's weird though, because that curse is debilitating. It makes it a lot harder for you to get healing. That's a big payoff. That's a big trade. Which
Well, I understand there was
cool.
a conversation about it. I think during the playtest they were talking about how some of the mechanics worked for the curses. That they came up with the idea that they could give you very powerful curse abilities and balance it by giving you debilitating curse penalties.
Yeah.
And so that you didn't have to go with a 1-to-1 as always a thing where it's just like, oh, well, this curse is equal to this thing. You can just go, well, this one's obviously a 3 because of this amazing ability to give you, but also you might just fall over and die.
Yep, that's how they are.
So,
which is cool because I like to take chances.
well,
Obviously,
and it does such a great job in facilitating storytelling. So for any player, minor tangent here, but every time I am a player, there's always that point where it feels like you'll probably hit it once during an adventure path where you just go, things have gone completely sideways. Things are just terrible right now, and our party needs to flee. And usually in a story, you would have that one character that would go, go, I'll hold them, and then like stand for, a final stand. And it's kind of hard to get that across in a role-playing game because, you're looking at the mechanics and you're like, I don't want to build a new character. All the rest of that, even if it's a great time for your character to die, not because you're tired of the character, but because this might even, especially if you're doing a redemption arc or something, it might fulfill that. And so being able to just say, I've got a nuclear button that basically just will solve our problems,
but might kill me.
But might kill me or take me completely out of a fight or do something to incapacitate me. It's that heroic putting all of your effort into one hit. And I just love the flavor to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's been kind of a theme throughout this whole book, though, is that it's just provided so much flavor.
Yeah.
So good. So tasty.
It's so tasty.
What is your favorite new ancestry feat? I mean, I know mine.
I think... Black Cat is back for the Catfolk.
Catfolk have so many that are so good.
Have so many great ones. And we've already talked about the Caterwaul, so let me find one that's going to be a little different.
I know mine.
There's the one that lets you be dying 1 instead of dying 2 or whatever. I don't remember what that one is. I just know it's a Catfolk thing.
Okay, I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm not going to go into the details on it. 13th level Orc ancestry feat, Spell Devour.
Ah, dang it, you took mine.
It's so fun.
See,
it's so
y'all
fun.
Went all like power with this. I'm like, I went for the goblin one, Loud Singer.
Okay, Loud Singer is good.
I'm not surprised.
Spell Devourer is good.
Yep.
There's a oh man, what is the name of it? I closed my tab for some reason. There's a kobold ancestry feat that's called like sniveling or something, where you essentially are like, sorry, don't kill me, and sometimes they don't. Like
now, a not powerful option, but one I think has amazing utility is that it's a 5th level Ratfolk ancestry feat that lets you stow things in your cheek pouches as a free action.
Yes, and there's the one that lets you store more bulk of items in your cheek pouches, which is rad.
So it's just kind of great to be able to, it's like, okay, I've got to drop this bow because I need to use my sword.
I tell you, I play a lot of Starfinder right now, and people love Yosoki. Like, I have a group that's Yosoki and one giant lady. And it's like, there's just Yosoki everywhere.
I did also enjoy the Halfling Step Lively feat because it's basically what I do on a daily basis.
Oh, and the Jinx feat. Because the Jinx feat is like, you aren't lucky as a halfling. You make other people unlucky.
So the short version of it is
they're all good.
There are tons of feats that we love out of the ancestry section.
Some of them are like cool, they really build up, a powerful character. And then others are just funny.
They're
and
just great
you take them just because it would make sense for your character.
Mm-hmm. None of them are bad.
So yeah, none of them. I've enjoyed almost all of them.
Let's see. Somebody asks if we addressed the rituals. We talked about them a little bit, mostly about the fact that there were things in there that we had. It's weird that they weren't in the first book. They were in the core rule book, like Hero's
Yeah.
Feast and that sort of thing.
Reincarnate.
Yep.
Like
Reincarnate.
Reincarnate was the one that really struck me. I was like, wow, that's. I hadn't noticed that wasn't in the first book.
Yeah.
In the core rule book.
But yeah, they're cool. I think the rituals are neat. I like the mechanic of them. Because you can do them even if you're not a spellcaster. All
Well,
right.
and it gives a great opportunity to like involve other people in, involve the entire group in doing something.
Yep.
That's true. All right. Any other questions? Because this may be a good time to wrap up if that's all. Oh, there we go. Do you think we're to the point where 2E conversions of 1E APs are possible without tons of homebrew?
So I would say yes and no. It depends on the individual adventure. So as kind of a rule of thumb, the earlier a first edition adventure it is, almost the easier it'll be to do a transition to second edition. Because if you're looking at Rise of the Rune Lords, you've got a whole bunch of giants and various other iconic monsters that you fight. There are a couple in there that are, and people. But if you're looking at something like Ruins of Aslant or one of the latter adventure paths where they were pulling monsters out of 6 different bestiaries, it's translating the bestiary encounters over is kind of the longest, most difficult one. So yeah,
kind of, depending.
I think that given enough time, it would be pretty easy to do. Mummy's Mask that we play, I kind of joked around it for a while where I was like, oh, it's so easy because the only 3 bestiaries were out at the time. And I was like, okay, I just have to worry about these 3 bestiaries and monsters from these 3 bestiaries. And the moment Tyrant's Grasp starts up, it's just like, why is everything from bestiary 6?
Because that's where all the evil lives. Iron Gods would be hard because the technology piece isn't there.
Yeah.
So I think the easiest ones to do it for would be some of the really early ones. Rise of the Rune Lords would be a good example. Curse of the Crimson Throne, you could probably get away with fairly easy.
They're doing Kingmaker.
Yeah, they're going to be releasing Kingmaker as a 5th edition adventure path, the hardcover book. Not Paizo, I think it was another company.
Yeah.
Can't remember it off the top of my head. But you could probably also get away with some of the ones that are a little bit more non-monster centric. So something along the lines of War for the Crown, especially because you can get through a fair, from what I understand, you can get from 1st to 2nd level without ever pulling your weapon.
Sweet.
And Iron Fang Invasion, you're mostly just going to be applying templates onto hobgoblins.
Yeah, and there are hobgoblins, so.
Yeah, but there are other ones that would be, Iron Gods, obviously. I think Strange Aeons would be fairly difficult to do.
Yeah. Let's see. Any new class abilities or feats that really take advantage of the 3 action system?
Well, again, there is that removing the fear effect from other people. I wanted to say it's 3 actions to do it.
Yeah, the skill.
Tell everyone to calm down.
Everything's fine.
Everything is fine.
Well, and there's the ancestry, or is it a heritage, or is it a class feat? No, it's a rare background that gives you the reaction, which is interesting.
Other than that, really taking advantage of the 3 action economy. The Cavalier has some really neat ways that they play around with mounted combat. So you get a lot of things like, being able to, I think they got a 4th level, here it is. Yep, 4th level feat where you can quick mount, which is just kind of neat. They've got a reaction that lets you defend your mount if someone attempts to attack your mount. They get a Cavalier's Charge again, where your mount strides, and at any point during your mount stride, you can strike.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
It gives you, in essence, ride-by attack for 2 actions. So the Cavalier does a lot of great things. They even have a 3-action feat for the Cavalier that's you just trample them. You just run over people with your horse.
Like, get out of my way.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So I would say that the Cavalier is definitely up there for fun things that you can do. And also, again, it's an archetype that even comes with a 20th level feat.
Oh, yeah.
So Yeah.
It looks like that's it on questions. I guess we can wrap it up here. Thanks to everybody that subscribed and followed us
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
Rick, do you want to talk a little bit about where they can re-listen or listen to the beginning if they missed it for this?
Absolutely. So we have launched a new RSS feed that we call Find the Path Ventures. So if you look for Find the Path, you will probably find the Find the Path podcast, which is our Mummy's Mask actual play, and Find the Path Ventures, which is a landing pad for all of the additional stuff that we do.
Mhm.
Right now, we are steadily populating it with the Tales from Dark Moonvale series that we did for, I think it was 9 episodes.
Sounds right.
Yep. 9 episodes, which is kind of our first foray into second edition play, which was before this book came out, so you won't see anything featured from this book in that. We really should have waited. No.
Nah.
We were all locked at home and went, you know what we could do?
Second
Anyway.
edition.
Dewey.
That's posted up on all of those episodes are on YouTube, but we're releasing them on a bi-weekly basis on our RSS feed there, and you'll be able to find this there as well. And if you like what you have heard so far and are not already a listener or subscriber or anything like that, then you can follow our Mummy's Mask Adventure Path playthrough on the Find the Path podcast RSS feed, and you can also support us and on Patreon, and at the $5 tier gain access to our Tyrant's Grasp actual play, which is really starting to heat up.
Yep.
In a horrifying kind of way. Beyond that, of course, if you like seeing us and hearing us, and also like things like conventions, in a few scant days, we are going to be at Gen Con Online doing a live play, a continuation a bit of the story from Tales of Dark Moonvale. I don't think you would have had to have seen all of those to be able to understand basically what's going on. But if you have, it'd be great. If you haven't, check it out.
You also have time to catch up.
That's true. You've got a couple of days.
Yep.
So that's going to be on Saturday. I believe that's August
1st at 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Eastern
Pacific,
time.
correct? Eastern?
It's Eastern time.
Eastern time.
Oh, okay.
All right. So yeah, then that's going to be a whole lot of fun. And then Ross Scoggin, who many of you may be familiar with from the Fated Tales side story that we did in Mummy's Mask, as well as our if you've been following the Tales from Dark Moonvale, he's the game master for that. And a good personal friend.
Yes, he is.
Somebody
He's
says,
our
I hear
personal
those kobolds have themselves a king.
Not for long.
This is a custom
It's grim,
homebrew
isn't it?
adventure, I think. This
Yeah,
Gen Con
I believe the
thing.
one for Gen Con is going to be just a standalone small side story that that Ross has concocted.
Yep.
Fun.
And
Gonna be
should be a lot of fun.
spooky. I don't
And
know.
we did the first story that we did was Hollow's Last Hope. And eventually, at some point in the future, assuming that there's enough demand for it and excitement and such, we are looking at doing an adaptation of The Crown of the Kobold King.
Yep.
I believe Ross is also going to be making, I believe, his conversion notes for the second edition, for the conversion that he did for that available sometime
so.
somewhere.
At some point. We don't know the details yet.
I'm not committing him to it.
Yes. Just maybe. Here's a teaser.
I do expect it on my desk by week's end.
Oh, goodness gracious.
It wouldn't fit on your desk.
Probably not.
Yeah. Well,
Nothing
anyway,
fits on my desk. My desk barely fits anything I've got around.
Your desk barely fits on your desk.
My desk barely fits on top of my desk. So
Alright.
yeah. Regardless, I think so there I guess we have 6 thumbs between all of us. So I'm going to say double thumbs up because I really enjoyed this book. I really
Heck
enjoyed
yes.
the flavor.
Oh, hey.
All right, 6 thumbs up.
We have an accord.
So we have an accord.
So yeah, good
So-
stuff. There will be a VOD. There will also be a YouTube version of this, and then of course, like Rick said, it'll be on the RSS feed for Ventures, probably next week.
Yeah. So is there anything else that we have for today?
I
I don't think so.
think so.
Well, then thank all of you for coming out and joining us that came out and joined us here. We are going to make this a reoccurring segment is our plan. We're planning on tackling the, what is it?
Legends
Lost Omens Legends here
in 2
shortly.
weeks.
So once we've gotten a chance to look over that, so it'll be your same bat time, same bat channel. So you can come back, check that out, and
But
then
it
we're
might
going
be
to...
different people.
It
It might be different people.
I know. So, you know, Heather might be willing to, I don't know, dig herself out from under all of her Final Fantasy 14 or whatever her backlog is. And I'm certain eventually Jessica will let Jordan stop trying to fix all the electronics in the house so that they
Probably.
can have the
Maybe.
computer work again and they can stream stuff once more.
It's true.
And who knows, maybe Ross will stop converting everything from first edition to second edition and can work on something else if he gets it to me by week's end.
We'll see. And I guess with that,
yeah, thank you all for joining us.
bye.
So until next time, good luck, Pathfinders.